Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jade Monkey. We're back here in Rust, talking about that Rust console edition for the PlayStation 4, the Xbox One, next generations, and everything in between. And today we are specifically going over how to make scrap, that easy, safe scrap for solos, but also for all players. And we were covering 3 different versions here. I hope this all makes sense. We have the core game, we have the game with fishing in it, and we have the game with fishing and the fishing village. So I know we're supposed to get an update to main branch April 2022, I should say, at the end of it. So at the very least, we should be having fishing, and then we know we're going to get main branch fishing and fishing village. It just depends on when you watch this. So I'll try to denote which tips have or include fishing village and fishing. Okay, so right away for the core game itself, no matter what's going on, you can always come out here and do junk pile scrapping. I don't see people do it enough. It is super OP. It's a great way to stay out of the way of other players, especially the Zergs. And you just come out here to the junk piles. You can swim out, although I wouldn't really recommend that. If you have scuba gear with flippers, that would work pretty well. Also, one of the techniques you can use to save yourself is to use the flippers and dive tank to dive down. After a certain depth, other players can't shoot you. They have to use melee. So it's a really good way to avoid confrontation, to take the scrap back home, because that's what it's all about. You don't really want to be going into big confrontation, especially with groups 2 or more, because you're most likely going to get clapped if you're starting off at the bottom of the barrel. So, you know, grab that scuba equipment. If you do have access to low grade initially, you can come out and find a boat and then drive it out. Now, if there's a fishing village, you will be able to purchase this for 125 scrap at the fishing village. And also, I'd say the better option if you have the fishing village would be to craft the kayak and the paddle, as that is a 2-person and a boat that you can carry with you. And it's a good way to DIP if you've got a boat itself. Okay, so back to the junk piles real quick. Hopefully this all makes sense. The junk piles are great. Go around there, hit them with barrels, or I'm sorry, hit the barrels, and then you've got these crates here. Fantastic. Again, if you have the scuba equipment, strongly recommend to find those white water bottles and dive down and release those crates and shipwrecks. They will also add a lot more to your haul, your scrapping. One other thing you can do is if you are with a team, you can come out here, and the person on the top that's collecting the crates that have been freed from the sunken treasures, they can also be up here fishing off of junk piles or off the boat or off of kayaks if there is the fishing village itself. All right, so whack those barrels. That's all good to go. And one other thing you can do if you have fishing, and let's go ahead and kind of get halfway back here. You can craft your own low grade if you do have cloth with you, if you're actually fishing with. And I guess it's worth noting now that you can make you can make scrap with just fishing without the fishing village. Currently, if you're on PTB, or again, depending on when you watch this, basically if you have fishing, you can make scrap, and if there's fishing village, you can make even more scrap. And I do have a video on how to make scrap just fishing. I will go ahead and link that now in the upper right-hand corner, if you want to go check that out. Okay, so right away, one of the ways you can get money with scrapping, or fishing, is by hitting some of these high-end fish and then gutting them, and they have a high percentage chance, or at least a 20 to 40% chance to drop either a blue card and a 40% chance to drop things that are worth scrap. So you could get 6 scrap or a blue card. So the best fish you can get is a shark. I'm going to go ahead and show you how to throw this out here real quick. Again, you hold left trigger, and then press right trigger, then release, and keep the bobble on the screen. Using right thumbstick turns the viewport, and the left thumbstick will help do the mini game here. We'll just do one real quick, as long as you have bait on there. So I'm pulling back on the left thumbstick, back and over, and if you hear the sound of the line getting tight, you're just going to let go. You can hear it right there, so I'm letting go. I'm keeping the viewport down there, so I'm pulling in, and then left, right, while I'm pulling in, and then I should be able to catch it. Oh, boom! We just caught a small shark. This is the highest end shark. If it's just fishing, this is the one you want to gut, and there's a high percentage chance to get blue card, 6 scrap, 6 cloth, 3 bullets, or flares. And again, this will help complement things, places that have recyclers and places where you can trade things in, i.e. Bandit Camp, where you can trade in the blue card for 40 scrap. I'm going to go ahead and gut one of these so you can see if you watch the quantities real quick. Boom. We just got another blue card. We're rich. So if you see, we got more of the raw fish, which you use for bait on the fishing pole itself. We've got fat here and bones. Don't let the bones elude you. They're really great for bone arrows and bone armor, especially if you're getting started. And we can trade these in for 40 scrap a piece. Now, as we drive back, if you have the fishing village, and I'll cover this again, You can sell at the fishing village. There is a vending machine, and you can sell the sharks for the most money. 2 sharks for 90 scrap. That's 45 a piece. So yeah, you can start to make cheese real fast. If you start to become proficient with fishing and using the level 5 bait, so raw fish, and catching the larger fish like catfish and sharks, even without the fishing village, you can make a lot of cheese. And if you're tag teaming with another teammate, duo, trio, you can really make short work of not only the junk piles, but also fishing as well. So you're really moving the progression. And if you have a BP master on your team, somebody who shotguns all the blueprints first, you can really move progression even faster. Okay, so we have another area here. I'm trying to figure out the best way to do this. So you already saw right there is a really good way to do so. Oh, when there's a fishing village, these fishing traps are in the game, in the core game now. They will just catch, I think, minnows and like, I forget what the other fish is that you can gut. But when you do have fishing, it will up the game, so you can put raw fish in here and then get small trout, which is really good for re-upping your bait supply. You can use pickles, but it's not the best. Just know that you can use fishing traps now and through fishing, and then with the fishing village. And it actually becomes quite lucrative to fish the raw fish to get trout and then use the trout to trade in. We'll go over those values in a minute. Let me go ahead and dump these in the fridge here. Don't want to lose my fish. And then we'll dump this in the box. Yeah, so this next piece here is going to show you another great technique if you're solo and there is fishing included in the game you're currently playing. Again, it's PTB right now for April, and should be in main game by the end of April 2022. Hopefully that all makes sense. It's a little confusing because we're kind of floating between these 3 different types, where there's fishing right now in PTB, the normal game, and then what's potentially coming in. And even if we do just get fishing, there has been confirmation that there will be the fishing village at some point. We're hoping it's all at the same time, but we'll have to wait and see. Okay, so Slab BC I believe is the one. So okay. Going back, you can go out there, you can scrap on the junk piles and deep sea diving immediately. You can do more fishing out there. By the way, the really good fishing, sharks are caught in salt water, and the as you saw, that's a really good one to gut. We're gonna go ahead and throw these all in here and kind of go through some of this while we're fishing some examples at the bandit camp. Oh yeah. While we're getting this all in here, if you're like, hey, that's cool and all, but how do I store all this stuff if I'm getting my cheeks clapped all the time? Like, what's a good technique to keep the Zergs off your back, right? Like, where are you going to stick all your loot? Well, I'm here to tell you that if you're solo, there's a great solo vault base that I have already made a video on. It's called the Arrow Vault Base. I will go ahead and link it now in the upper right-hand corner. If you want to go check that out, test it out here on Builder's Paradise. That's where we are. It's got a couple tricky little builds, but I do cover it in the video. But it's specifically designed for solos to survive around Zergs. You can build 2 of them. The build is very low cost. The upkeep is also low cost, and it's fantastic. And if you stay low key, you don't run back to your base every time you get shot by a Zerg, and you keep the walls off of the base, like don't make yourself a big target. It's low profile, low cost. You should be able to survive a wipe, especially if you have to. Now, it's not a silver bullet, but it's going to definitely up your chances, especially if you're rolling solo. And combine it with this stuff here, where we're going to be fishing at the bandit camp, and it's going to be super OP. You'll be surprised, or even use it as a starter supporting base or places to actually vault your gear and then have a main base somewhere else. The more bases you have, the better. The upkeep's lower and it's more protection. Keep that in mind. Okay, so one of the biggest things you can do for this, when you do have fishing or a fishing village as well, I should say fishing and fishing village. It's awfully confusing. Come to the bandit camp. You don't need any low grade. You just need 200 wood and 2, I almost said 200, and then 2 rope, and then you can craft a fishing pole. Doesn't need a workbench at all. Then you don't even really need bait, but if you pick up any mushrooms or hemp along the way, you have a percentage chance to get grubs and worms. But if you just come to the bandit camp here, you'll see small green crates, and those also have bait inside, or if it's like an apple or something else. Typically it's good to start with the worms. But really what you want to do is eventually gut some low-end fish and work your way up to this raw fish right here. And if you've got your fishing pole, you're off to the races. Now, I am going to put this up here, and we'll talk about this later. So yeah, you just come over here. You're in the safe zone. Even if you get capped, nobody can loot your body. You've got nice open spaces. If you do have a candle on your head, you can hit Y, and you can fish in the middle of the night. Like, be efficient with your time, right? Because it's really hard to do some things at night, or it's extra dangerous. So come out here and fish, make that money. Okay, so when you've got the fishing pole in your hand, you're going to hold left trigger again. You're going to push it out here till it's blue. Tap right trigger. When it's in the water, release both left and right. And now we're just using right thumbstick to keep the viewport, the bobble in the viewport, and the left thumbstick is to pull in. You're going to be pulling back and left and right, or combinations thereof. So we'll wait for the jerk, and then we pull back. So noted here, the harder it is to pull this guy in with level 5 bait, the better chance you have of getting something that you do want to gut. And I guess it's worth mentioning here. Let's go ahead and move the junk fish down here, and we'll move the fish that you do want to gut at the top here to really organize things. Now, there's two different types of water. There's fresh and salt. And again, that... Did I link the video earlier? I think I did. Yeah, I did. That video covers how these all work, but in a summary, the ones you do want to gut are going to be the small shark, the catfish, and the salmon. Now, back to what I was originally saying, there's fresh and salt water. This can only be found in salt water, deep salt water, which is the best fish now for fishing, and it's also the best fish for the fishing village itself. This is freshwater only. You can find this in the bandit camp. Even though it says salt here, this is considered freshwater itself. Actually, if we pull it back, doesn't it say something like salt? Oh, well, I guess it doesn't. But yeah, sometimes you'll see that little indicator that says it's salt here, but it's technically fresh. This is both a fresh and saltwater fish, if I'm not mistaken. So salmon you want to gut right now, and catfish and shark. And then when there's the fishing village, you want to keep these for different combinations. These are good for replenishing your raw fish supply, both yellow perch and small trout. And these guys, I can't think of a reason why you wouldn't gut these. You're always going to gut the herring, anchovy, and sardine. If you get one now, you get more bones and some more fish. And that's how that works. And what's great is you always get fish, bones, and some combination of animal fat. So if you are carrying around cloth, you can start to craft low grade, which you can then in turn use for furnaces to get your base started, or boats. And you're here safely getting this stuff and actually getting scrap at the same time. So let me go ahead and cast another one out here and kind of show you what a tough fish looks like. Do we bring our blue card? Yeah, we got a blue card, just to show you what that looks like. Yeah, there's so many different ways you can do this. But when this does come in at the end of April, bare minimum fishing, this is going to be a great way to come into a server. So it doesn't matter who's capping you. They can't touch you here. They can't touch your loot. As long as you body bag here in the open, set your timer for 30 minutes and come back and pick up your stuff before the 30-minute timer is up, you can indefinitely keep cycling your loot, and it's always going to be safe before you have a base. Sneak away at night, find a boat, or build a kayak if you have the fishing village, and go run out there and start fishing. It's a two-seater, the kayak, and you can keep it in your pocket. You both can fish off that bad boy, and it makes for some really, really good, sneaky progression. Okay, so one of the big reasons why the bandit camp is so OP is, yes, the riverboat has a recycler, which you can probably barely see in the fog, which is fantastic. But if you come here to this little dude, not only can you sell back high quality and metal fragments, which I don't see people do enough of, you can sell the blue card to them for 40 scrap a piece. That's right now with just fishing, without the fishing village. With the fishing village, you can sell 2 sharks at the vending machine for 90 scrap. That's 5 more a piece, which is the best fish. You can sell trout right here. 5 trout for 30 scrap. And again, this is at the fishing village. You can sell yellow perch, 5 yellow perch for 50 scrap. You can sell, we just went over this, the small shark, 2 small shark for 90 scrap. You can sell the catfish, 2 of them for 65 scrap in that vending machine, and the salmon, 2 of them for 55 scrap a piece. And really, you just go over there and fish off the dock at the village. It's fantastic. It is another safe zone, so it's super OP. This one's nice to start because you can start to build up your supply of low grade and craft and then repair. Actually, it's probably worth showing you this really fast. Over here on this end of the bandit camp should be, yes, I went in the right place. There is a repair bench here above the workbench, and you can place your fishing pole here and fix it for just wood and cloth. And as you start to melt them down, gut them, you can get cloth, so you can start to repair this thing without any rope. And you just keep going over and over again until you stack up, until you have enough scrap. or low grade, or both. So when you come down here, since this has a level 1 and we have tech tree, you can go in here and start to drill into items that you want. Stay here and fish until you get a water pipe. Stay here and fish until you get a shotgun trap, or just come here at nighttime to be efficient with your time and move progression in the middle of the night. If you have a candle hat on, which I have right here, which is a basic blueprint, just cloth and low grade, it's enough light to fish in the middle of the night, and it's super safe. Like, who's going to shoot you here? Nobody. Or they'll try and then they'll get capped. Okay, I'm trying to think if I'm missing one other thing here. I think that I might be, but I'm not entirely sure. I think we covered just about everything. Oh yeah, so if you pull things out like these, don't throw them away. You can recycle these bad boys. Or even if you're eating empty tuna cans or tuna and you have these empty tuna cans, recycle these. They will turn into bullets. You know what? We didn't actually cover this. So when you cover, when you got these 3 guys, not only do you always get fish, bones, and animal fat, but you do have a percentage chance to get 6 scrap, I think 8 cloth, 1 road flare, and then a blue card itself. So these high tier have a 20% chance for either one of those, and then you have a 40% chance to get some form of scrap if you are exchanging it over here with the blue card. Yeah, super OP. And especially with the kayaks, with the fishing village, I should say, I don't know if I said this earlier, but fishing villages do bring in kayaks in the paddle itself. And I cannot overstate how important that is, that you can keep that in your pocket. So if you do have a boat or you're doing oil rig, you can then deploy it yourself and then paddle out of there. It's not fast, but it's better than swimming. Also with the fishing village, there is the ability to purchase scuba gear, also extremely OP. Even if you're not running the water, that wetsuit is a great combination for any gear set that you're going to put together, especially early game. And let's not forget, if you use the wetsuit, and this is a little tip, you can go out here in the cold zone and not take cold damage or wetness damage. And if you can find an iceberg out here that's in deep sea water, just keep fishing until you get shark on shark on shark, and then sneak back to the bandit camp in the middle of the night and then cash out. It's OP. Make your first furnaces, start cooking out there. That's how you get started as a solo, and this is how you can do this as a duo, trio, or even a larger group. But more importantly, how to stay away from those larger Zergs, especially if you're using the Arrow Vault base, to really stay on top of things. It's never guaranteed in Rust, but these things will definitely help you stay above the curve as a solo, because you're always fighting, or you're always behind the 8 ball when you're playing as a solo, but it's definitely possible, and it's super enjoyment? Joyful? Enjoyment? You get a lot of enjoyment out of succeeding as a solo. Jeez, am I having a stroke? So I definitely recommend it, especially if you're having a hard time. And yeah, can't wait for these updates to come through. I really hope that the fishing village is in, at least in PTB by the end of April. But we do know that fishing is coming in for main branch here at the end of April. And it is currently on PTB, so give it a spin if you've got Deluxe or Ultimate. It is a separate download. And yeah, check it out. If you found it useful and helpful, be sure to drop a like. It does help out a lot. And if you're into it and you like to keep up to date with these live streams, guides, and videos in general, or just news updates, consider dropping that subscribe and turning on that notification bell. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Love you. Bye.